This is a Hope 1032 podcast.
Welcome to She Wasn't Born Yesterday, the pod that fearlessly chats about all things affecting us ladies who are 40 plus fabulous.
Well, and the guys that want to know what we think.
Well, them too. I'm Janet Evans, advertising creative.
And I'm Jenni Woodhouse, semi-retired social worker.
In other words, you're busier than ever. We're J&J and we're super thrilled you're with us, or she wasn't born yesterday. Gorgeous, today we're here to talk about moral dilemmas. Should you tell someone their spouse is having an affair? I mean, that's just sort of one example. But I mean, our profound thought for today is life is full of dilemmas.
What sort of dilemmas?
Well, dilemmas in the sense that do you tell someone they got spinach in their teeth, that their fly is undone?
Yeah,
You know,
so embarrassing.
do you or don't you? I mean, it depends who it is, I think.
And it depends on the,
If it's your boss, I definitely think you tell them. No,
you wouldn't.
No, you would.
You would?
Yeah, because you don't want them to go around all day with their fly undone.
Yeah, but you don't want to be
into an executive
have them
meeting.
embarrassed in front of you.
Well, you don't want to indicate that you've actually been looking down there as well.
Well, true.
I suppose. So that's
probably
a dilemma.
that's the most important bit.
Or, if you think someone's baby is a bit more brute than cute, do you just say, that's a really gorgeous outfit? Is that sort of...
Or do you say, what a gorgeous baby, and knowing that that's a lie?
No, I would never do that. So if I ever say to you, your baby's outfit is really cute,
I'll know.
You'll know that.
Thanks, code.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
Got it.
But just about every day we do face some sort of dilemma or not. Should you have that extra piece of toast, that extra profiterole or not? But when it comes to the bigger issues like love, betrayal, and things we know might affect outcomes for other people, I think that's the time when it becomes a really serious dilemma as compared to the more frivolous ones.
Well, true. But I guess they still have the same thing going on in your brain. Do I, don't I, do I, don't I, do I, don't I?
Well, yeah, I think, though, it's easier to tell someone their fly's undone than it is to say, hey,
your wife's having
your
an
partner's
affair.
cheating on you.
Yeah,
you
that's
know what
true.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I do know what you
there's
mean.
less at stake.
There is.
Well, we feel there is. And I wonder where that sense comes from.
Yeah. Does it come from inside or outside? Does it come from community expectations or inside us?
This is another dilemma. I mean, where does it come from? So we've searched this out, haven't we? So, but we've discovered that the difference between actually an ethical and a moral dilemma is a very fine line. The lines are actually quite blurred when you try and find out exactly and pin them down exactly what they are.
So what's the difference?
So generally, I think an ethical dilemma refers to the external principles of sort of good versus evil.
Right.
And in the words of the research piece, generally agreed on by a community. So these can be sort of the ideals of honesty, integrity, respect, loyalty. For example, the brand Temu is an online retailer, but, and it's a legitimate business. There's absolutely nothing wrong, great prices, all that kind of thing. But actually digging into it, its business model has been shown to raise ethical concerns about where it sources its products, forced labour, product quality, sustainability, all those issues.
Which is why it's so cheap.
Well, exactly. But the dilemma is, do they go more sustainable and raise their prices and therefore kind of destroy their business model, and us as customers aren't going to buy their stuff even though it's more sustainable because they're more expensive?
Yes.
So, that's a bit of a dilemma.
It's not a dilemma for them, but the dilemma for us is, do we contribute to it?
Yes.
By buying it?
That is a good point. But that is sort of more of an external example. But a moral dilemma, supposedly, is an internal sense of right or wrong. So your moral compass, for example. So it's sort of scenarios that challenge your values and force you to make difficult choices. That's the definition of it. And there was this sort of famous example of this trolley dilemma. I don't know if you've heard about that.
No, tell me about that.
Okay, I think it means light rail. It's an American example.
Oh,
but
trolley.
Anyway,
okay,
so
right.
a runaway trolley, or light rail, is heading towards 5 people on a track, which is more like 5,000 if you're in Sydney, waiting for the trains that have been delayed all the time.
Indeed.
But there's 5 people this time. And then you have the option to switch the trolley to a different track, but that track has 1 person on it. So do you choose 1 person, to save 4 other people?
Yeah.
Or do you, what do you do?
Okay. Yes.
Someone's going to die, right? If it's a runaway tram trolley.
Yes.
Or there's a second variation.
Yeah.
You're standing on a bridge above the tram tracks and you can see the trolley going towards the 5 people, but there's no lever to divert it or anything, but there's this big person standing next to you.
On the bridge, right?
On the bridge, right? Looking down as well. You go, if I chuck you down on those tracks, you'll stop the trolley. But then they'll die.
Oh, man.
But the 5 people will live.
That's really hard.
You know what I mean?
That's really hard.
This is a classic thought experiment by a philosopher called Philippa Foot.
Yep.
She came up with it in 1967. Obviously, she didn't have anything else to do.
Yes, clearly.
Didn't have any social media or anything like that. But it allows us to think through the consequences of an action and consider whether its moral value is determined solely by its outcome.
Okay, so there's actually 2 different things here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So there's I can do the maths, 1 person versus 5 people.
Right.
However, I'm going to do the killing.
Yeah.
If I push him over.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Because then I'm going to feel horrible that I've pushed someone off the bridge.
But then you've saved all those people. You've saved 4 people.
But
you've saved
I've
5
pushed
people.
him off the bridge.
Yeah, well, you've sacrificed 1 person and you've saved 5. What would you rather do? I mean,
I'd rather
not talk about it.
Not happen. But just imagine pushing
I know.
Don't imagine that.
That's it's a cool example of a dilemma,
It is.
right?
That is a dilemma.
Fortunately, it's fictional.
Yes.
But we all know that in real life, there are actually quite serious dilemmas that we
serious
face.
Dilemmas.
In fact, speaking of blurred lines and all that sort of thing, you recently had an interesting example in your street, didn't you?
I did have an interesting example in my street.
Okay, tell us about that.
In my street, in an eastern suburbs street, it's packed out with houses and units and blah, 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 and there's hardly any parking, right? And it's close to a big park, and so everybody uses our street to park in.
Ironically, the name park does not suggest parking.
No, that's exactly right. It is Park Avenue, indeed.
Perhaps.
Yes,
in Park Avenue, where there's no parking.
Where there's no parking.
Fascinating.
You have to be lucky to get parking. Yeah. So one of the problems is people park across like 2 spots. They take up 2 spots. They don't think ahead and think if I park there, they
really
take
hate
up
that.
2 spots.
I feel like lifting the car up and moving it 2 metres that way, or a motorbike.
We could do that.
Yeah, anyway.
But what someone in the street has done has snuck out in the middle of the night.
How do you know? What time did you go?
Well, I only know because the lines weren't there one night and then they were there the next morning, right?
Yeah, what
So
lines?
that's how I know. There were lines. So someone's painted lines on the road so that you know where to park your car.
Okay, yeah.
So that you don't park across a line, you park between the lines.
Yep.
And that allows for more cars to park on our road. Brilliant. It's brilliant. There's a problem. There are 2 problems with it. One problem is there are a couple of driveways that this makes it a bit harder for the people in the driveways that do have driveways to get out. Whereas before the cars weren't parked so close to their driveway, now they're parked right up to their driveway. So it does make it a little bit harder for a couple of people in the street. The other thing is it's actually against the law to go painting lines on a road. Just willy-nilly off your own bat.
Right.
Because it's classified as graffiti.
Really?
And you could get a really big fine for that.
Well, you can make the lines interesting at least. Make them sort of arty, kind of like a Banksy style.
That would be true
like
graffiti then. But no, they didn't. I suspect they didn't have enough time, and I suspect they just wanted to get back inside and go to bed.
Yeah.
But I know who did it. I know someone who actually broke the law. Do I dob them in despite the fact that they've done a good deed to 90% for 90% of the people in the street?
Do you get to park in those?
I do, and everyone gets really mad now when people ignore the lines. So that, what do you do?
That's a dilemma. If you didn't have such a good knowledge of the law, then you wouldn't be in this problem.
Exactly.
Whereas I would just go with the flow. I would just park with the flow.
But I know that it's against the law.
Oh, really? How do you even know that?
I looked it up.
Why? Why did you look it up?
Well, I thought someone's painted lines on the road. Are they allowed to do that?
Really?
So
I would just go, cool.
In New South Wales, putting lines on a road is considered a form of graffiti and carries potential penalties, including fines, community service, and even imprisonment. That's what it says.
Oh, my goodness. That's ridiculous. But, what about other states?
I didn't look them up because I'm in New South Wales. It doesn't matter to me.
Yep. So what did you do?
Nothing. I said thank you very much to the person who did it.
Does that mean you're breaking the law by default?
Does that mean? I don't know.
Ooh, concealment of a crime.
I know.
You heard it here on the podcast right here today,
I
people.
know. Concealing a crime.
She's a criminal.
Man.
Well,
I hope, okay.
you know.
That's terrible.
I mean, yeah.
Did you ever have
it's
a big dilemma?
Well, yeah, I did actually. It was a very long time ago, but it still stuck with me. And when we were kind of coming up with this episode, it reoccurred to me in all of its
And
kind
caused you more trauma.
anxiety.
Got it.
Because it was such a long time ago that it was actually when my son was going to daycare and I was dropping him off one day. And I saw this guy who I know from tennis, who I used to play tennis with. Like, we were in a big tennis circle and we all played together. His name, let's call him Chris.
Chris, good.
Why not? And he was there with a little boy and I was like, oh, what are you doing here? Because he was going out with a girl in the tennis club also.
Right.
Who's a gorgeous Thai girl called, let's call her Natalie.
Yep.
And for ages, and I mean, they weren't married or anything, and this kid was definitely not Thai.
Right.
So I thought, oh, and he said, oh, this is my brother's child. And I'm like, oh, okay. Didn't think anything of it. Anyway, Christmas comes, the pageant, like the little kids pageant and all that,
Yes.
my husband's filming it because I wasn't there, I was at work. I look at it later and there's Chris right in the front row. And I'm like, the thing about Chris is he was well known to be a very self-centered person. Like it just didn't ring quite true that he would go to his nephew's Christmas pageant.
Yes.
During the day, anyway, I thought it was a bit odd. But anyway, the next year, my kid and his kid the nephew were in the same room together again.
Right.
Anyway, one day this woman comes to pick up the kid. Let's call him Quentin. Do you like that name?
That's gorgeous.
Oh,
Quentin
I
the
like
kid.
Yeah, Quentin the kid, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And I said, oh, hi, you must be Quentin's mum. And she said, yeah, of course. And I said, oh, so you must be married to, because I'm thinking, who's the brother that,
Yeah.
And she said, oh, Chris, And I'm like, so.
There are two boys called Chris.
No, Chris. She's married.
To Chris. But if Chris has a brother called Chris, that's
I see
not working.
what you mean.
That's not working for
right.
me.
Yeah, twins. Christine and Christopher.
I imagine
Chris and
your ears pricked up at that.
Well, I was just sort of, because maths is not my strong point.
Yep.
So I thought, trying to put together the pieces, I was like, and then I remember it was on the verge of it was on my tongue to say, what about Natalie? What about Natalie? I didn't say it. I would literally, it was there in my voice box, just there, about to come out.
And
I restrained myself just in time.
Racing at 100 miles an hour.
Proud of myself.
Very good, very good.
But anyway, so then I went to tennis the following Tuesday night and saw everyone, the group.
Including?
He wasn't there. Chris wasn't there.
Right.
And I said, oh, I'm a bit late to the party. Obviously, Chris is married with a kid. And they were like, what do you mean? And they were his best friends, right? His immediate circle of best friends. And they were like, you've got to be joking. And so they didn't know. And she was pregnant as well. So there was a number two on the way.
Natalie or Quentin's mum?
Quentin's mum.
Quentin's mum.
Quentin's mum, who shall remain nameless because I just can't think of another name.
Yeah.
But anyway, and so one of those people who was very
best friends,
ethical or moral, decided to tell Natalie
that
the boyfriend, Chris,
is actually married with 1.5 children.
With 1.5 kids. Yeah, exactly. She rang me.
2 children, basically.
Yes,
technically.
Yes, pretty much. She rang me and said, who is she? Where does she live? All of which I knew because, you do. And I said, I can't tell you that because I don't think that's a good idea. It's just not a good idea. She was hysterical. Yes. Natalie was hysterical. Yes. She was devastated.
Yes.
Devastated. And then she left the country. Left her job, left the country. Yeah. And anyway, then Chris rang me as well and tried to justify why he had withheld all of that from Natalie. Because apparently he was helping her with her finances and doing all sorts of things, good things for her. And I was like, you're a liar. Well, think of all the lies you would have to surround yourself with every single day. Your colleagues, where are you going? You wouldn't tell the truth. I'm picking up my kid. You'd be like, oh, I'm just, doing something, to every single person in your life, including his very closest friends, us, you would be lying the whole time. And then I was talking to my husband about this and I was going, what am I going to do? I feel like I need to tell the wife as well. And he said, you need to tell her because she needs to know that this guy is seeing someone else.
For 2 years.
For years. For years he'd been together with Natalie in the tennis group but living this double life. So, and I said to him, I just can't, because I thought it might wreck her marriage. Like if she found out that Chris was...
Except that it wouldn't be you wrecking her marriage. It would be Chris wrecking his marriage.
I know that, but I couldn't do it. It might take their kids away from their dad. The ramifications, I just thought, I can't bring myself to do it. So my strategy was get to know the wife really well. Like I tried to get to know her really well so that one day she might say to me, do you think Chris might be messing around or something like that?
And you can say,
and
yes, I've known for
yes,
years.
Yes, he is. Because I was not going to lie for him, but I just wanted to say it. I wanted it so badly. I kept saying, and at tennis the other night, I saw Chris and a whole group of our very close friends. I was like, if she'd said, what about that girl Natalie? I heard something about, but she didn't, and it was really infuriating.
And so you didn't tell her?
I didn't tell her. I just never told her. And then
so she's still oblivious after all these years?
Well, I don't know.
What if he brought home an STD or something?
The thing is, we all lived in the same suburb as well. So the chances of meeting mutual friends, I just figured he was just incredibly arrogant.
Oh, my goodness.
So, maybe he's a chess player. Maybe he likes to move people around like pieces.
Seriously. Narcissistic chess player.
I don't know. Do you reckon that's what must be, how do you justify it to yourself?
How do you do that? I don't know.
Anyway, later I also found out he's an only child.
Yes.
Which...
No brother. Nephew.
No other Chris. No other Chris.
Confirmation.
Yeah. It's funny how it stays with you though. Like it's a burden for you. Like
yes.
The dilemma is on your mind.
But no matter what you did with the information, it would have stayed with you because if the marriage had broken up, then, I had a part in that.
Yeah, you have to live with that. Yeah, right. But what is the right thing to do? What do you think? It's a good dilemma, right?
No, it's a bad dilemma. It's a terrible dilemma. Right. I don't like that dilemma.
Good and bad way.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, see, in counselling, this kind of thing happens a lot.
Right.
Not knowing that someone's having an affair.
Chris and Natalie came to you separately.
I had a bit of a doozy a few years ago where there's a thing in the counselling world which is called, there are codes of ethics around confidentiality. So there's a thing that's called informed consent, which means I need to tell you, if you're my client, I need to tell you that this is confidential. Our conversation will be confidential, except if you tell me something that's of harm to you or harm to others, and then I need to tell someone.
Against the law?
Or against the law. Then I need to tell someone.
Okay. Are you legally obliged, like priests within the confessional thing?
Yes, yes.
If someone says, I've murdered someone,
you
actually are obliged to tell.
You are obliged, yes. Okay. So it's more the moral, ethical kind of dilemma thing. This will remain confidential unless I'm worried about you harming yourself or you harming someone else. So it becomes a problem when you're working with kids because at what age does a child then understand informed consent? So up until about 12, 13 years old, probably they don't. So up until that age, if they tell me something that I'm concerned about to do with their mental health, I'm really obliged to tell one of their parents.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Because they don't understand informed consent. So I can I need to break their confidentiality to alert someone to the problem.
But you tell them that in advance so they understand that, right?
You would say that. Yes. But still, can they understand that? But from about 15 onwards, a person can understand informed consent. That's fine. And so saying that our conversation is confidential is good. It's fine. I get it. You understand informed consent. There's a grey area. We're talking, 13, 14-year-olds. Are they old enough to understand informed consent?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe?
Yeah, I reckon they would be.
Oh, yeah? What's the cut-off point? At what age do you have a cut-off point then?
I think when you're a newborn, you probably don't. But from then on, I reckon you're pretty, social media is, you're all over informed consent from then on.
You are just talking off the top of your head.
No idea what I'm talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about. So I had a boy come to me. He was 14 and he just kind of started opening up to me and telling me that he did not want to move overseas. His parents were going to move overseas for work. He was an only child, and he just was absolutely adamant. He didn't want to move overseas. It was just going to be the worst thing of his life. He was so angry about it. He was going to hate his parents forever if they all moved overseas. And he'd say, I've tried to talk to my parents about it, but they just shut me down. They just say, oh, no, you'll have a good time once you get there. And so he was saying, I'm going to run away, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But he was 14. Does he understand informed consent? Do I tell his parents? Do I not tell his parents?
Why was he there to see you?
Well, I was supporting the whole family as a pastoral care worker. So...
And you're talking to them individually?
Well, he just came to me individually.
Right,
he just came and sat in my room and started telling me this.
Oh, okay.
So it'd been hard to stop him at that point. So, what do I do?
Yeah.
Do I then say to the parents, and our organisation was helping them move overseas. So do I tell our organisation, this is going to be a disaster for this kid, or do I not tell them? Anyway, it was a bit of, so you get those informed consent problems.
It's sort of a nuance, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
If you got all of the family in one room together, do you think he would have opened up?
That's what I did.
Oh, right.
That's what I
okay.
ended up doing.
Right.
I ended up suggesting that we do this. And he finally agreed. I said, I will be there with you so that they don't shut you down. But that didn't go well either. But you see, there are things like people in churches. So I worked in the professional standards unit for many years, and we'd hear about people who've been in prison for child sexual assault.
Oh, yes.
And now they're out.
Yeah.
And they've joined a church.
Yep.
Do you tell the families in the church, this man's been in prison for child sexual assault in the past?
Yeah, right.
Or do you not tell them?
Yeah, that's tricky.
Or in prison for something else? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in our church, we've had people who've been in prison and have come out, obviously. But, I don't think I've ever asked someone, what were you in for, But the thing is, though, they wouldn't be able to actually work with kids because they need a working with children check, don't they?
That's exactly right. So they wouldn't be able to work with kids.
Right.
But if you've got this fella sitting in the pew and he's getting to know the families and he's getting to know the kids himself because he's, I don't know, he's been invited round for dinner by the family because the family have no idea that he's been in prison for child sexual assault. Does that family have a right to know? And who has a right to know? Who has a right to know that?
That's a really tricky one. I mean, I think they do have a right to know, in my opinion. Like,
why?
Because it affects a whole lot of other people, right? It's not just like this guy has, for a start, do child sexual predators, can they rehabilitate? Is it something that they can ever actually?
Some, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. But, the senior minister would know. The senior pastor would know.
What,
do you think?
Why would he know or she know? Why?
I reckon if I was a senior pastor, which I'm not, obviously, I would invite that person around and just have a bit of a heart-to-heart.
Yes, but how do you know they've been in prison? They turn up at your church.
They'd have tattoos that say,
they'd have the number tattooed across there.
That's right. They'd be wearing those stripy things, the orange outfit, no, that's a really good one.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
What do you think?
Oh, I think that the senior minister needs to know, and then the senior minister needs to have a conversation with that man and say that I'm going to inform people who have children if you start to get close to that family. I guess that, it's all very...
But how would you, monitor that?
It's very hard, isn't it?
Sort of, and you hear stories about lots of prisoners actually do become like Christians in prison.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which, for whatever reason, is it genuine? I don't know.
Well, a lot of the people that we had to work with in this situation had been Christian, gone into prison for child sexual assault, come out and they wanted to join a church again.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, there you go.
Gorgeous. Look, you'd think at 40 Plus Fabulous we would have all of the answers by now, but I think our episode today has proven that we don't. In Chris's case, maybe there was another dilemma because he was actually a tremendously good player and we really needed him for the team. So didn't want to offend him or anything like that. But actually, we would love to hear from you guys. What dilemmas have you faced and what have you done about them? Like, how did you resolve them? Did you resolve them? Did you delegate someone else to resolve them for you?
Like you did?
Yes, exactly. Just be in denial, So if you've got a story to tell us, or you've got a comment about how we solved or didn't solve our dilemmas, we'd love to hear from you on our Facebook group. It's called, strangely enough, She Wasn't Born Yesterday. And we will definitely approve you to come into that private group where it's fabulous and full of interesting stuff like dilemmas. So let us know what yours is. Also, you can leave us a message on the Hope 103.2 podcast page. Go to the podcast page, go to the drop-down menu, go to She Wasn't Born Yesterday, and drop us a message. You can be anonymous if you want. We won't tell anyone. Jenny won't spill the beans.
I won't.
There'll be
keep my
informed
lips
consent
closed
on that message. But yeah, we'd really love to hear from you. It's not a dilemma at all. Just do it. We'd love to hear from you.
Hope 103.2. Thanks for listening.